Hello friends, in this video we are going to discover the top 10 best cities to die in the United States in 2024. Preparing for the end of life isn't always at the forefront of our minds. But the place you live actually has a huge impact on your access to end-of-life care, how much you'll pay, and how your assets can be passed on to your heirs. In short, some cities are better to die in than others. We have looked at 50 of the most populous American cities to find which ones have the best holistic end-of-life services. We analyzed 5 main data points in our search. Average funeral and end-of-life costs by state. This totals the average costs of a funeral and end-of-life costs in each state. Estate taxes. Some states charge heirs estate tax on inherited assets. States without estate tax allow for a larger inheritance that doesn't require money to go to the state government. Number of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers. This statistic looks at the number of industry professionals compared to the city's population. Palliative care report card by state. This report card grades each state's hospitals based on the quality of care given to patients with serious illness. Total number of Medicare hospital beds per state. This indicates the availability of affordable hospital care statewide. From the quality of life to the flexibility of estate planning, where you live has a huge impact on what happens in your final days and beyond. See if your city makes the cut. Kindly make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon before we start this video about the 10 best cities to die in the United States in 2024. Now let's dig deeper into each of the top 10 best cities to die in the United States in 2024. Number 10. Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles rounds out our list largely thanks to the many hospital beds in the state of California. Palliative care is also above average here, and LA also has a higher concentration of funeral pros compared to many other cities. While there's no estate tax in California, the state's end-of-life costs are among the highest at over $32,000. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $32,611. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 0.83. Palliative care report card, 77.3. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 79,919. Number 9. Indianapolis, Indiana. Indiana is another state with no estate taxes and below average end-of-life costs. Plus, Indianapolis has a solid concentration of morticians to choose from. On the care side, however, both the palliative care report card and number of hospital beds for Indiana were below average. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $19,347. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 0.84. Palliative care report card, 76.7. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 19,581. Number 8. Richmond, Virginia. Like its neighbor to the east, Richmond residents don't have to worry about estate tax while also enjoying well-rated palliative care services. And the concentration of funeral service providers is just slightly less than in Virginia Beach. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $21,648. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 0.95. Palliative care report card, 86.5. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 19,438. Number 7. Virginia Beach, Virginia. The state of Virginia ranks in the top 10 for best palliative care quality. Paired with no estate tax, Virginia Beach slides into the number 7 spot thanks to a relatively high proportion of funeral professionals. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $21,648. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 0.96. Palliative care report card, 86.5. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 19,438. Number 6. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh comes in next largely thanks to the second highest population of funeral professionals in the city. Although Pennsylvania has average palliative care ratings and hospital beds, state residents don't need to worry about estate taxes. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $21,862. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 1.6. Palliative care report card, 76.6. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 35,450. Number 5. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City has an above-average concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers. On top of that, its location in Missouri lends to lower end-of-life and funeral costs, plus no estate taxes. On the downside, palliative care in the state ranks 32nd on our list. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $18,724. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 1.07. Palliative care report card, 71.2. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 21,824. Number 4. Detroit, Michigan. While Michigan is just in the middle of the barrel when it comes to hospital beds and palliative care rankings, Detroit ranks 8th for its concentration of funeral industry pros. Plus, there's no estate tax in Michigan and the total funeral and end-of-life costs come in at just over $19,000. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $19,111. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 1.27. Palliative care report card, 75.4. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 28,070. Number 3. St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri has one of the most affordable end-of-life and funeral costs across the nation. St. Louis comes in third among all surveyed cities for the number of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers compared to the total population. The state ranks average for hospital beds but does stand out for not charging any estate tax. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $18,724. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 1.54. Palliative care report card, 71.2. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 21,824. Number 2. Cincinnati, Ohio. Like Cleveland, Cincinnati has no estate taxes and a decent amount of statewide hospital beds. Plus, Cincinnati's population of funeral professionals is quite high, ranking 5th compared to Cleveland's first-place finish. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $19,519. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 1.33. Palliative care report card, 84.8. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 42,009. Number 1. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland has one of the nation's highest concentrations of funeral industry professionals. In fact, the city ranked first out of all the cities we analyzed. Ohio also does not charge an estate tax on inheritances and ranks well for palliative care. Average funeral and end-of-life costs, $19,519. Estate taxes, no. Concentration of morticians, undertakers, and funeral arrangers, 1.62. Palliative care report card, 84.8. Total number of Medicare hospital beds, 42,009. So, which are your favorite cities among the top 10 best cities to die in the United States in 2024? Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content of this video, click the subscribe button so you can receive more content like this. Post your favorite cities among the top 10 best cities to die in the United States in 2024 in the comments below. I'd love to read them and I'm sure others would too.